So we started out with the AI design sprint and starting out with a version where you would develop new services for your business, which is then AI based. But the more we are talking with people, we are seeing that chatbots is actually the super nice entry point for people to start with AI. So if that's the starting point, how can we help them to develop a really good solution?
That was Mike Brandt, the co-founder and CEO at 33A, and my special guest today on the DDS podcast. He's also joined by Jonas Wenke. He's the other co-founder of 33A, concentrating on service design and user research. Together, they've combined artificial intelligence with design sprints to guide existing customers through digital transformations and practical solutions for their business. Enjoy the show, and we'll see you later. Mike, you're the co-founder and CEO at 33A, and you have a very diverse creative background. Your expertise is in digitalization and AI transformation of businesses. You are the author of Forget the Product, Forget the Idea, Forget the Campaign. Let's start out with what you're currently doing today as co-founder and CEO, what you're concentrating on. We'll start with that.
The focus is on AI. The focus is really on the AI design sprints and how do I start companies up? Yeah, how can I help them to apply AI?
What does that conversation typically look like? Are you going out to businesses and explaining kind of the advantages of how AI transforms businesses? Do you find there's a lot of inquiry in what you do? And how long have you been doing this for?
It's actually a development, actually also from my book, because the book is about design processes, just with the focus on AI development or products around AI. I don't know, I've been working on it, last 5, 6, 7 years, I guess. My originally super background is communications design. The conversations we're having right now is business are actually wondering, they know AI, so we don't have to convince people that AI is now the thing to do. I think they are very aware of that AI is at a mature level right now, that it's applicable, and that regular, even medium-sized businesses are able or should do that. They're not understanding AI fully. So I think they're wondering what is AI? And then the next step is they don't know what are their opportunities to use AI within their company. What we're actually doing right now is we do opportunity mapping sessions where we just look at the entire organization and map AI opportunities. And that's really this helicopter view before we then later on go deeper and look at specific opportunity spaces.
Are the businesses you work with primarily in Copenhagen there in Denmark, or are they around the region?
Of course, we like to do local business, but I think right now there are also companies who are then using our products. We have one in Brazil. It's either we are facilitating the AI design sprints, or it's we are also offering the tool in form of a license. So that's why, it's actually people like companies around the world should have access to it. And that's also part of our mission. We want to enable as many companies as possible to apply AI, because we see that can have such a big positive impact on regular people. And so that's why we say, okay, how can we share that with many people? So part of it is that we are facilitating it, that we are doing it ourselves, but that would be very limited because we're limited by our time. And so we say, okay, there's so much need out there. And then we are enabling other people, like other consultants and any people who also want to just run AI design sprints. They can just use our tools and do it.
Jonas, I'll bring you into the conversation and kind of explain who you are and what your role is there and what do you do.
I actually came to Copenhagen like a couple of years back to pursue my master's degree in service systems design. So what I do is basically create design processes and shape all kind of solutions. So I, for example, was working on car sharing services, I was working in a startup that aims to digitize the food supply chain. So all things that kind of require like a systems view and develop very like focused solution on different points in the system. And my role in the company at the moment, I mean, like right from the start where I joined Mike roughly a little more than a year back. So that was where Mike like presented the, let's say, first MVP version at a local conference. So when I came in, we said, okay, let's bring it to the next level. So I have like all this design expertise and experience how to run workshops and a little more focused on the academical aspect.
And how have you found that dynamic between you and Mike working out? Has it been a nice balance in kind of showcasing what you're doing with AI and design sprints? How has that business relationship with the two of you kind of fostered and organically grown?
I mean, every kind of relationship, if you work intensely together for like a longer period, has their challenges, but it also strengthens the product. So, I mean, in general, like the relationship is very good, but we have like kind of different views on the product and kind of different focus. So I tend to do tools to make them a little more complex and more elaborated. And then we have Mike on the other side, like, okay, let's make it simpler. Let's make the wording simpler and so forth. So we, in the end, like come to a nice compromise, which then usually resonates very good with our clients.
I think so. So I think like Jonas really complements it very well because he really like my first AI design sprint was, well, it worked, but I think he right now as we are now working with large companies and it's should go deeper also the AI design sprints. He brings in this really nice depth of how to work with process and how to understand the business process. He also brought really the AI design sprint to a super nice high level now, so that we are right now super confident and have run already super nice AI design sprints with large companies, and it goes really, really well right now.
Let's dive into that a little bit, because that was the thing that really fascinated me when I first kind of did a glance at it, combining AI with design sprints. What was the inspiration to kind of see the connection between the design sprint process and kind of working AI into it? And as you've been doing work in this space and getting it to the point where it's really matured, how have you seen it grow to the point where you're starting to see it as a viable business option?
Mm-hmm. So first we have to kind of say that, so our AI design sprint, or the advantage, and we see it really as an advantage, is a half day or day session. We have a pre-session and a post-session too, but the main session is just very short, but that gives us the advantage of that we actually get to companies and they find the time. They find the time of a half day or day. It's nearly impossible to find a company where you get really decision makers and they say and they're free up a week. That doesn't work. So that's maybe a big difference to the regular Google design sprint. That I said has to be more compact, more compressed. Like one thing right now, what companies are searching for is, yes, maybe in general a digitalization, or how do I be more tech, or but I think a big question is really, how do I use artificial intelligence? And so we thought, okay, we can't use a regular Google design sprint for that, because if you would just go with a regular Google design sprint, you would need to get in an AI expert into the process. And getting in an AI expert again means that the knowledge doesn't come from the participants in or the teams working on it. It will just be presented by the expert again. And so that's why I wanted to create this, let's use the Google Design Sprint methodology and the steps you're taking, because that's just a modern state-of-the-art development process where you can get to solutions very quickly. Well, it's also called a sprint, so you should be very fast. But let's focus on AI, because companies, that is the big questions. How can we make AI work for my business? Well, we work with an AI expert at the end. We are also getting in an AI expert for the final evaluation, and we are also offering implementation of the AI solution. But in the AI design sprint, we have we developed an AI card deck where we put all the AI technologies on 52 cards, and we categorize them. And so that brings in the AI knowledge into the AI design sprint, and it makes it possible for people with no tech background or AI background to match it with a user need or with a work process from a company and develop concepts with it. The cool thing about our AI design sprint is it enables actually people or business decision makers who don't necessarily have a tech background. And they're able to develop AI concepts, how they could use AI in their company.
At a high level, it sounds like overall you consult on the opportunity and the technology, and then you execute through the design sprint process to realize the vision, the overall strategy, what the product opportunities are, all through kind of a stepped process so that they don't have to be familiar with the technology per se. They can rely on your expertise and your perspective to get them there.
Yeah, and the magic is actually those AI card deck. So we have this AI design sprint where they develop new services based on AI. And we start the AI design sprint with, it's a design process. So you start with the user, with the persona. And what they do is they boil it down to the most important user need and want of that persona. And then they say, okay, this person needs this and this. And then they just go through the AI card deck, and then they just see, okay, can I use this technology, this AI technology to serve this user need? Yes, no, yes, no. And then they have at the end maybe 10 AI technologies they could use to serve this user need. And then through a process of then boiling it down to a concept, then they form the first concept. But it's really this magic of that you have this AI card deck, this individual AI technologies, and you match that, for example, with the user need. And if it matches, you can form a concept out of that. So that's really the key of this AI design sprint, where really regular people without tech background develop first concepts, and then there's still a process afterwards where you test it and iterate it and so on. But the magic is really with this matching, with this card sorting method. So what people actually, when they participate in the AI design sprint, they're actually surprised by using the AI card deck. They're getting also more familiar with AI technology. Suddenly they get a sense of, okay, it's those and those categories, and this is what I can do with AI. They have really a more understanding about the topic or the breadth of AI technology. They're not only smarter about AI technology, but they are also are more confident in, hey, I now am now familiar with the process where I understand now how I can develop solutions for my company, how I can develop concepts with it. Sometimes even too confident at the end, but they're super happy. And so a lot of times at the AI design sprint at the end, the teams want to present it to everyone. And so we have to really make time and space for that. they're super proud of their solutions, but that's great, even though we think maybe it's still a primitive solution. But that gives them the energy to say, okay, let's just have another maybe and go deeper in it. But they are confident with the AI technology, and they, as a team, produce this energy to pursue it, and they want to make something happening then within AI within their company, and that's just great. Before that, when they maybe started or when they come into the AI design sprint, they're just very scared by AI, and maybe they're even scared about, they don't feel confident in, they feel they're left behind because they're not the tech people. And afterwards they think, wow, we are the super Google people. Which is great. Like, we need people who are feeling they can actually manage and handle really cutting edge technology.
You want to strike the right balance.
Yeah, but I think too, right now a lot of people are scared by it and intimidated by it and overwhelmed. And I think as soon as people get more clarity and have this feeling of not only understanding, but we want to push them in the AI design sprint to take actions, to take first steps. We want that people feel a bit more confident and see that they are able to take actions.
One of the things I've seen design sprint facilitators do and doing more of is customizing the process for their particular situation. So you have service designers combining design sprint activities. You have people that are adopting problem framing or opportunity mapping as a precursor to the sprint, like you're kind of doing. Do you find that it's just business as usual to customize the process for each particular client and address particular needs or opportunities they're looking at?
Well, I think as a designer, you always have to meet the clients halfway, so to say, or meet them where they are at the moment. So you have with AI, the same, in other regards, you have clients being at different steps in the journey. So some have at least some experience and know, okay, they at least roughly know what they want to do. And some don't have that at all. So we kind of have the main packages now that enable us to customize the process to a certain degree, but with very, very minor changes.
But we already have, we started out with an AI design sprint new services. And as we talked with a lot of companies, then we saw that they need more the quick wins, because they have to sell it internally too. And if a team dares to start a project, they want a result pretty fast, so that they have a nice standing within the company too. And so we developed an AI design sprint process automation, because there was a demand for that, and people were asking for that, and we see that you get quicker results with that. And we also saw that you don't have to always develop new products or services. We saw a lot of value in looking at what if you add AI technology on existing products and services. So we don't have to kill everything. What if we work with the stuff they're having right now and we just improve that a little bit? And actually in the design sprints we've done there, so we call it the AI design sprint product amplification, where we just put a tech layer on top of existing products and services. The experience is that you can improve a product or service dramatically with AI.
And I can imagine the infrastructure costs and other associated costs, if they were to uproot everything they had and start over, the cost savings for them is probably pretty dramatic, or at least there's a significant difference between the two options.
Yeah, Yeah. And why not just like add AI to existing surfaces?
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you have a product which is still running, that means you have identified a need and you are able to serve it, right? So you don't have to go back all the way to the persona and again do the research. So you can just use what you have and push it to another level. There are different levels of innovation. So as Mike already pointed out, so like we have the process focus sprint, which focuses more, as it says, on your processes and gives you rather quick wins and frees up some time for you. Then a little more innovative is, let's look at your product and see what happens if we put an AI layer on top. And once you have this covered, where you can actually already create like a lot of value, then you can go to the more interesting and innovation and a little more far out there thing where you say, okay, let's see what happens if we create something entirely new.
Yeah, and then the latest thing is that we look at chatbots, and we do opportunity mapping. So we have this AI design sprint opportunity mapping. That's also where we adapted to companies' needs right now. A picture of how they could use AI before we are going actually deeper and say, let's look at new services, or let's look at your process automation or whatever. We first start really with a really helicopter view.
Let's get into the AI design sprint chatbot for a minute, because this is something we talked about offline before we started into the podcast. You can download this for free, and I think you had said that it's coming out very soon. Who's the intended audience for this chatbot? What was the idea behind its creation?
So the idea is that design agencies who are or digital agencies who are building chatbots, that they have a difficulty of communicating maybe what you could actually do with a chatbot. So what we hear from those companies is that they're getting actually really bad briefings. So companies say, yes, we are needing a chatbot, and then they just brief the agency or this design studio saying, okay, we just needed a chatbot, and the design studio have a difficulty of getting them to develop a really sophisticated product. They can't really communicate that very well. So they get really bad briefs. And the design agency, they're frustrated because they say, oh, if we could have just had built a little bit more sophisticated solution, it would be much more better fitting, and it would serve the need much better. And so what we decided to do is, well, the problem is we just need to help this design agency to develop a chatbot together with the client. I mean, old school is that you would get a briefing and then you would present a solution or come back and present something. I mean, you would always now seek to collaborate and co-create it together with the client. And so what is lacking is a tool for that. They don't know how do I develop a chatbot together with my client who has not a lot of knowledge about the chatbot. And so again, we use actually a similar methodology we use with our other AI design sprints, where we say, okay, how can we get this knowledge about AI and chatbots and even developing a personality of the chatbot? How can we get this knowledge into the sprint for the participants to use without getting the need to get in an expert who would just present something? And so again, we developed a lot of different card decks and a canvas. And so right now we are working here together. We developed it together with the chatbot company here in Copenhagen, and they just tested it. And so it takes about 3 hours a session, where they developed the functionality and personality of a chatbot together with the client. And the client, again, was super happy because they just feel heard. They feel empowered, and they learned more what a chatbot can do. And they have the feeling of, I developed that together with my super tech guys here. Yeah, but they have, and that's what the client said. Then this digital agency, they said they are having now more energy again and they are more excited about the project again, which is super.
I like the term super tech guys. That's that works for me. I can go with that. So you can download this for free, the chatbot you had spoken about, and I believe the full version is going to be coming out in the next couple of days, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but also the free light version will be updated.
And where can you find that? Where can someone go to kind of look for that?
You just go on 33a.ai, and then there in the middle of the page, it's called AI Design Sprint Chatbot, and you click on that image, and then you're right there on the page, on the chatbot AI Design Sprint page, and at the bottom you can download it for free.
Great, and I'll make sure that it's included in the show notes so that people can kind of find the link there and go to it direct as well. Is 33A publishing case studies of what they've done in the past and what they're currently doing? If not, are you planning on publishing and showcasing some of the advances you're doing in AI and design sprints and letting the world know what you're all about and what you're up to?
Yes.
All right, great.
Actually, we did this morning, we already did a presentation like over Skype, introducing again the AI design sprint for some other guys. And so in the presentation, we have case studies. We haven't come around, I think, to put that on the website. I think it's still work in progress. And we've also wanted, like, maybe it's coming in the future. Right now, our aim was really to keep the website actually as simple as possible. So it actually has 3 products on it, 3 product pages, and an about page. Very, very simple. Yes, and in the future, yes, we'll also show some case studies.
And I'm all about simplicity as well. Most of my material online is the exact same way. I tend to not try to overwhelm people with a lot of information. So I'm right there with you in terms of that philosophy of giving people what they just need at a bare minimum, and they can probably seek out what they really want. What are your upcoming presentations and events that you're either sponsoring or getting involved with between now and, say, like April?
The main conferences are actually happening in the fall again. So we are usually here at the Tech Festival in Copenhagen again, and the conference in Malmö. These are usually our big digital festivals where we are. I think right now we are planning some open AI design sprints. We have some meetup groups. So we have in Copenhagen a meetup group which will happen regularly. We are getting asked for, I would like to experience an AI design sprint. Where's your next kind of open event? And so once in a while, we then get this feeling of, okay, yes, we need to do again an open AI design sprint to just let individuals experience an AI design sprint. Other than that, usually we run AI design sprints at companies, and that's then a more closed event than just for that company. But we don't have anything yet in the calendar. But yes, if more and more people are hitting us again, we'll feel the urge to set up another open AI design sprint again.
Or if somebody wants to invite us, I mean, we are always open for that. But
yes, also like with conferences, we are really open to do AI design sprints at festivals. We have actually like a festival version where we just do it in 1 hour or 1 hour and a half a session to just for people get a feeling of it. Yes, we are open for it. I think many conferences are charging money for the opportunity to have exposure there, and there we said, that's really not then our thing. So we are really open for doing it if you just cover the costs.
Yeah.
We would be happy to do that.
There is this event coming up called a Global Virtual Design Sprint that's happening for the entire month of April, where companies and individuals can sign up to be part of an international team of practitioners, whether it's designers, researchers, advisors, facilitators, and you can choose from a variety of challenges, or for a company like yourself, you can basically arrange an event that's customized to showcase what your company is all about and what you do. But you could potentially do a virtual AI design sprint that's oriented towards a challenge or a problem that could benefit a local charity, or something that you've been thinking about exploring with the public and getting not only local staff involved or local talent, but you could also tie in international talent as well.
Yeah. No, that sounds super interesting. Yeah. No, maybe we have to look at it.
Yeah. So we'll have to talk after the show because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. Yeah, no, it sounds really interesting. Usually our experience is, of course, it's nice to have people like in the room and interact with them face to face and just in the real world. I also believe it should work also in a virtual space. Why not?
Plus, this affords you the opportunity to use both people that are in the room with you as well as virtual. There are some rules of engagement that usually are followed to make sure everyone's on an even playing stage. But for the couple of other companies I've talked to, it's an appealing way of not having to have everyone virtual, but having some that are local in the room or with you, and then also expanding out that team as well. So you do have control if you do put on some sort of event that people can look at. I know that some companies are thinking about live streaming certain days so they can showcase how they do their work as a way of kind of promoting, their approach to doing design sprints that's different from other folks. Some are doing events in their own native language so that there is some English speaking, but for, say, in Cordoba, they're going to feature something in their native language so it speaks to local talent. The door's wide open for it. But I think especially with what you're doing at your company with AI and design sprints, it really needs a lot of exposure, because I delved in this space last year when I was working for an airline, and they were talking about chatbots being the intermediary to purchase plane tickets, to reserve seats, to have the chatbot basically anticipate the needs of business travelers and figuring out where they would stay, what their preferences were. There's a lot of thinking in this space already, there was last year, and I think that there's direct parallels with general businesses and how they can leverage AI the way you're doing.
Yeah.
Let everyone know where they can go online to find you, yourself, your company.
I think the easiest is just to go to 33a.ai. So that's the URL, that's the website. That's the easiest way to find us.
Yeah, and I think like all the typical social media sites are linked there. So
yeah, and if you're in Copenhagen, please shout at us and we'll have a coffee together. And
yeah, that's it. That's in your LinkedIn profile. I looked at that, and it's like you just offer, hey, if you want to come on by, have some coffee, get to know you, then feel free to stop by.
Yes.
Now, I'm not in Copenhagen. I'm out in Texas. But if I ever do travel that region, I will bring black tea so I can kind of show you what I tend to have, and I'll try the coffee as well. So we'll have an exchange.
Yeah. No, and we have really some nice coffee places here in Copenhagen.
Well, now I'm intrigued. I'm going to book my flight next week because I won't be able to do anything else until I figure out what exactly that coffee's like.
Yeah, very nice coffee places. So the coffee is nice, and of course the design is very nice of the places too, because it's just Copenhagen. We also know AI is still new for people, and AI design sprint is new. So we are also really reaching out all the time, and we're just open to meet people and talk with them and see where they are at and collaborate with them or whatever form.
Sounds great. Well, Mike and Jonas, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I hope you two are well, and we'll be talking to you real soon.
Yes. Thanks for the nice chat.
Thanks again for listening to the Dallas Design Sprints podcast. If you have a question or comment about what you heard on today's show, email me direct at robert@dallasdesignsprints.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Just do a Google search for Robert Skrobe or ask a friend. and see if they know. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.